Heard hyena this morning, but I haven't had much else calling during the night. But then again, I suppose I kind of slept pretty well. So sometimes I can hear lion in the distance and I can still be sleeping and know where they are. And sometimes I wouldn't even hear an elephant breaking a tree next to me. Okay, let's go and find something to follow, find some tracks perhaps. You ready? Beautiful sunrise. Spot here for tomorrow or the next day. I'm constantly looking for nice places for sunrises, moonrises, sunsets and moonsets. There aren't really that many open patches for us to read it. This one might be on the top of the ridge. There's trees that are in the way. For tomorrow, look at that. Yeah. Yeah. Right back there, go back to it. And now I'm seeing orange dots because I looked at it. My iris is dead. Where's my camera? Oh, and an impala running in the front of it. And who's that? The wildebeest? Yeah, it's the wildebeest, I think. Got to wait for my eyes to readjust because I looked into that sun. And there's a beautiful shot of the mountains too. As the sun hits the mountains, yeah, from the sun in the east to the mountains in the west. Come wildebeest, come into shot. Slight breeze picking up, rustling some leaves. Wind song is what wind song. Every tree sings a different tune because their leaves make a different noise. And cue wildebeest. The northern end of it, yeah.
This goes all the way down Residence.
And yeah. All the way down through KZN. One of the longest, sort of in the top 5 of long ranges, I think. I can't remember. Here's a question to the viewer. Where does the Drakensberg mountain range fit in the longest ranges in the world? a bit redundant saying Drakensberg Mountains because Berg means mountain. Dragon Mountain Mountains. I could hear a leopard cough or something while we're sitting here. It's a lovely, peaceful Sunday morning. I think some people might even still be on Saturday night. Oh. Now that's going to be nice, Leon. This wildebeest walking through that patch of sun. This radio is making a terrible noise in my ear. You can hear me, Brian. I don't know what I'm going to do about it because it's overwhelming. Keep walking. Maybe we should call him Johnny. Johnny Walker. Keep walking. Or Johnny Mtembezi in Kenya. Oh, okay. Picking my nose and nice little patch of cloud just above the mountain. I have Leon jumping from side to side because I'm going, oh look here on the right, oh look there on the left. Eventually moves into the sun. Yeah. Come, the rest of you. The whole herd's coming up. Maybe Billy will be coming too. Come on. There he's back. There we go. Now he's moving in to that patch of sun. Although perhaps from the other side it might have looked nice as he walked into the light. What's the point? But branches don't spontaneously snap.
Inspired by him.
No. What are you shouting at, Galway bird? Not exactly concerning these wildebeest. Primates. I'm sure it's primates. Something in the trees. Yes. Primates. Vervets climbing into the tip of the flamboyant to catch the morning sun. You'll have to move in a way to see that in a minute. The wildebeest is taking a pretty old time coming out, but that's fine, we've got time. It's a Sunday morning. Yeah, normally comes out at the back. Water buck. It's on a fan. Jono's pan. Lion fly in the west. It's near Waterbuck Lodge. Are we going to wait for these others to come out of the grass? Yeah. No. And I've gone to the vervets. Sometimes these wildebeest get quite frisky in the mornings and they bounce around a little bit. Today they seem to be a little bit more serious. Feeding is more important. Those mountains. Love those mountains. Also, we're losing the softness of their life. So I think let's go and find them. Muhammad won't come to the mountain. Let's take this mountain to Muhammad. Billy Muhammad. Other Indian races like that. female there, and there's one maybe Billy and Mom just behind this long grass. Or there maybe, because we haven't seen that one. 3, 4, 5, 6, that one's 7. That might be Billy's Mom there, or that's the bull. And that makes Billy and Mom behind that grass. That one at the back there may be Billy's Mom. Must be, because it's got all the rest of the herd. Yeah. Well, let's to try from the side, but then through those grasses. I'm not going to see them now. Maybe, but this grass in the way. Alright, let's continue our quest. Okay. Mother Nature, take me to your leader. So what we've just done is a little bit of a loop down into the southern region of Thornybush, small patch of land just south of camp. The rest of Thornybush stretches way up to the north, down on southeast corner. And it's quite a strategic little spot because down here in the south, running more or less from western Bavati River, and it's a dividing line between this little southern patch and the rest of the north. So one doesn't have to do too much to find out what animals are moving around in this area. And so far, just the usual suspects. The elephant that have been doing circles here for the last few days, not here anymore. They've moved west. We're going to head up that way now. Over it, we'll head up to the northwest and see if we can pick up on tracks. Fortunately, I laid some tracks down last night on some of the roads on the west at the end of our drive, and so I'll be able to see little data driving across the road. So I'll be able to see where they've gone compared to the movements of yesterday. Well, with a little bit of dew falling, it's fairly easy to see what was fresh and what was clear already in terms of animal tracks, because animal tracks that are from last night and before last night pick up a little bit of the moisture on the rim of the track as opposed to fresh tracks from this morning. Won't have that. My rain has calmed down now. Good morning, Clarissa. Question from Clarissa, which I'm sure will enlighten a lot of other viewers perhaps. Clarissa is actually asking what is a reserve, because we talk about Thornybush Game Reserve, there's Thornybush Private Nature Reserve, there's Tseseri Private Game Reserve, there's the Umbabati Private Game Reserve, Sabi Sand Private Game Reserve. So essentially a game reserve. Well, a reserve with a name. So that's popping again in my ear. As soon as I start talking, it happens. So Brian, my volume's all the way down right now. An area that is reserved for the sole purpose of protecting the biodiversity of any particular given area. Not just for the animals. The animals can't exist without everything that they need to exist. In other words, all the plants and the entire ecosystem. And each animal plays its particular role within that ecosystem. And it's the full biodiversity of that ecosystem that dictates the health of an ecosystem. If you have a discrepancy or an imbalance or a lack of certain elements within that ecosystem, it will collapse and it requires more intense management. So a reserve, now what is it? A private game reserve is in an area like this where people who own the land, instead of cutting down all the trees and turning it into suburbia, or instead of cutting down all the trees and doing, say, slash and burn agriculture or just land use, general land use by humans, the landowners here and in the Timbavati and in the Sabi Sand have decided that they want to keep the land as natural as possible and maintain the biodiversity that has always existed in a patch of African wildlife area. And so it's got to be gazetted as well, or declared, and it's got to be declared a game reserve, a private game reserve, so it has protection status. Some places, in fact a lot more places now than there were, say, 100 years ago or 50 years ago, let's say 50 years ago, where a long time ago land was taken up and was used for farming and agriculture. A lot of these lands have been reclaimed by nature because people who either own the land or people who bought out that land, or even indigenous people who own the land, have decided that in terms of the return of investment or return of income or earning potential, let's put it that way, earning potential of a piece of land can return a higher yield financially than in any form of agricultural farming if it is left to its own devices and kept as a natural area and used for wildlife tourism or photographic safaris. And so a lot of areas that were once cattle farm or even agricultural areas have been reverted back to wildlife areas, and even in some cases vast amounts of money have been spent on purchasing wildlife. Coming up now, this time of the year, going into the winter months, there are wildlife auctions in various parts of the country where you can, if you own land and you can prove that you have the right ecosystem to support them, you can buy pretty much any animal under the African sun at a game auction to stock your own game reserve. But you have to, of course, have all the necessary permits and permissions, and that only comes with being assessed whether your land is big enough to hold that species. And so you declare it a private game reserve. By bringing in tourists to view animals and take photographs, there isn't really much of a form of farming that you can do that will give you this higher yield per hectare or per acre. Apart from the fact that farming and agriculture is so much of an outlay in terms of management and equipment. When you have a reserve, you actually have to just leave it alone. Let nature do its thing. It might be quite nice with these impala with a bit of dust Okay, I've got a good level, but unfortunately they run away. So, Clarissa, I hope that answers your question. So, leopard crossed the river. First leopard tracks. Let's go see if we can find out where it went to. Excuse me. Went straight or went left? Went straight, went around that bend up ahead. Here, kitty, where are you? Like it came up here. Not seeing anything yet, but might have taken a shortcut. Seeing things. Hippo tracks. That's interesting. If I've been investigating the river. But I'm not seeing leopard. There it is. Yes, she did come this way. Well, persevere a little bit now. Oh, keep quiet, boys. Making a noise in my ear. Straight. Or left. Or left. Oh, yeah, I thought you saw it. I imagine she didn't go to the pad. Maybe she went up here. Did you see something there? No. Old tracks have it. Not as fresh as the ones that I had earlier. Go to the pan. These are old cats that I had coming out of the river with fish. The baboons haven't been saying anything. Go around to the other side of the pan and see if there's anything there. Nothing here. They might have moved straight through. Short grasses, you would have taken a shortcut. Watch out, scrub robin. There's dust in the air here. Something's been here. Don't think so. It's a bit cold on the trail here. But this is now almost the eastern boundary. We've come across the river, heading east, and just ahead of us is the eastern fence line. Just across the river from here is where there is a troop of baboons that sleep every night. And if this leopard came this way, I'm sure we would have heard some complaining from the primates. No tracks here, and I don't know what there is in the river, but I imagine she must have turned up. Let's go to the fence line and just see on the road there. Might as well. Almost here. animals do tend to walk up and down the edges because they use the fence line also as part of their territorial boundaries as well. It's quite convenient for them, having a physical boundary to their territory. I do indeed. Okay. Morning everyone. Missed the opening. My name is Mark, Brian in FC, and Leon is on camera. Came across the Thornybush River and had some leopard tracks. Yeah, sorry. Let's start talking. I was saying, had some leopard tracks coming across the river, and they were pretty fresh. And then coming across this side, I did pick up some older tracks. And I had a question from Shelley. Sure where Shelley's from. I don't think it was Canada. Where was it, Shelley? Where are you from? Shelley, fish even. And Shelley wanted to know how do you tell how old the track is. There's a crispness to it, a sharpness to the edges, Shelley. This time of the morning it's also quite easy because there has been some moisture overnight, some dew falling, and it has dampened the sand. Excuse me, Franklin. Made the sand a little bit damp. So tracks that were here, you can see the shape of the track and the dampness in it, as opposed to a fresh track. Those are old tracks. Fresh tracks have impressed themselves into the damp sand. So it's very easy today, but normally when there isn't such a distinction between the older tracks and the new tracks because of damp sand, there's a sharpness to the track that makes it very easy to see. Where was that? There's a flower here I want to see in the morning. Because you couldn't see it in the afternoon light. And we went live. There it is. Tiny little flower, but it's a flower. And Saturday night somewhere, and Sunday evening somewhere else, and Sunday morning in other places. But it's never too late or too early to show a flower. The lady, that little one. Hidden amongst this bush willow. This is the seed pods that you can see maybe, and the russet bush willow seeds. But the little white flowers are a plumbago. enough light on there. Okay, so if anything shouting at a potential leopard. Okay. So fresh tracks in soft sand or mud is different. Different way of doing things when it's mud, because tracks in mud can stay fresh or appear fresh for a long time. But fresh tracks, when an animal has just walked there, the edges of the foot between the toes, for elephant where you don't see the toes so much, the wrinkles underneath the feet form very, very sharp ridges on the sand. And as the track ages, it starts getting a lot rounder, the edges of the track, and it starts to become less distinct. Some of the animals that have kind of wrinkly feet underneath their feet, like the larger mammals, those wrinkles become very distinct when they're fresh and almost faint, if not non-existent, as the track ages, as the sand is worn down. When you're looking at tracks, you've got to try all options. Generally, an animal, when you find it walking on a road in one spot, if it's likely to be carrying on that road, because they'd rather walk on the roads than walk through the bush. The roads not much different to the pathways that animals forge through the bush. You need to get over this badly eroded, horrible road section. You can find tracks up on a road called Neletu, where I'm guessing she's headed. Might have then turned and headed back to the northwest, cover the edges of the territory. That's the leopard I'm thinking of. Yeah. Got it? Hopefully it's carried on. Yeah. No, doesn't look like it. Hippo came up here. Hippo must have been doing his rounds, coming to check on the river, see where there's water to spend, whether there's water here to spend time down here. So far lost the tracks. We can pick them up further up. Yes, back on the road again. Sometimes you just get a feeling for tracks. Sometimes pick up fresh tracks, you get a feeling of how fresh they are, and that it's almost as though the cat is just in front of you somewhere. The anticipation of coming around a bend and almost expecting, that one must never do, never expect, hope, and to come around the bend and you're walking in the road still. When you get a really long road like this, it gives you an idea of how far behind the cat you are, because it's not on this road. Hopefully still walking in the same direction. Check again. Yep. Not that fresh. Fresh and track. Something that one just develops over time. You get a feeling for it. I suppose it's something that I do every day of my life. Even when I'm at home and I'm not working, I do the same thing. I wake up and I walk outside, and sometimes where I park my Land Rover, I have leopard tracks or elephant tracks outside my door or on the road that runs past I have a little road just like this, runs past my house, and I make my tea in the morning and I walk outside still with sleep in my eyes to see. I can't wait to see who walked past my house during the night. And over time I've had every single animal walk past, except, let me think, what haven't I had walk past? I can't think of anything that hasn't been past the house. Elands. Ostrich. I haven't had ostrich or eland. Otherwise everybody else has been past the house at some point. And so it's kind of one of those things that, because I see tracks every day, I see the same tracks every day, I get to see how they age every day. So I get to see what a track looks like when it's just been laid down by a leopard, or when I'm following a leopard, and I get to see a track that's maybe a few hours old when I wake up in the morning and the big male leopard known as the Argyle male has come through my camp. And then that's a wonderful thing to happen, because of course it's exciting. Sometimes I'm sleeping on the deck and I hear him sniffing around underneath the deck, and there's nothing between me and him. Unfortunately, he hasn't come up to the deck. But the thing is that since he walked, and I know what time it is that he's been there because I'm lying in bed listening to him, I get to be able to go to those tracks every morning and see how they age. And it helps me paint a better picture of things. Kind of main road, quite fresh elephant tracks here, maybe just the one bull. Some branches, fresh branches that he left in the road. And this is a piece of marula tree. There are a few nocturnal animals tracks on top of it. Still very, very wet. This is the inner bark of the marula. make a nice poultice from some of this inner bark for some of the insect stings and some of the like hairy caterpillar stings. This is a smaller branch from the main trunk of a marula. When you get to this inner bark, it gets deep red, if not mauve, and you can use it as a stain or a dye to dye clothing. Not that great in terms of its fibrous texture, so it doesn't really make a great wood, but the moisture in marula, you can see how wet this is when you're on the way.
I've got you more sounds.
It's lovely and wet. Oh, sand everywhere. Leaves of the marula, obviously not now because they're not so great, but when they're fresher. Oh, because it's a giraffe, big male. Yeah, right here. Anyways, leaves are good for heartburn. Chewing on a marula leaf. Unfortunately, this elephant went the other way. Let me just move forward for you. And that's the marula tree he was breaking it from. There. Hang on, I can't. Oh, did you say? Okay, I've got the radio in my ear. Sorry, Brian, I didn't get any of that because we were talking. Oh, okay. You mean when we're driving? Okay. We need to, when I'm driving, have the camera as straight as possible. Because that's the viewers, I don't know, saying there. I don't want to see my left ear anymore. Let's see some. Now that's the marula tree he's breaking the branches from. The elephant, I mean. Yeah, but with his head in the bushes there, it's not going to be great. But quite a... Yeah, but he's going to move to the other part. Maybe this gap here is going to be better. Much better. Quite a... I haven't seen this bull before. It's got quite a gash on the top of his snout. He's an old man. I really want to keep up on these leopard tracks because we are still a little behind her. I don't know how much further she's ahead of us, but the tracks are still here and quite fresh. And we're on our sort of northern limit. I'm hoping she hasn't gone too far north. Taken next junction and gone that way. Little snake track there. I'm going to zoom a bit forward. Elephants. They're all gone to the other way, to the east. construction now on the tracks. But it could have been 2 hours ago. Northern Congo and Nialeti heading east, also Seshingo and Congo heading to the northwest. Leopard is walking again. Maybe we'll be lucky and catch it. Come on, Tigo. Maybe it's going to be a long one. Damn, that's out of the territory. Still walking in the road. He's been following us since that pan where I showed you that Plumbago flower. He dallied a little bit. Big junction here up ahead, and this is the main junction. Might be a bit choppy, the signal. Where do you go, catch? I've left the road already further back. Getting a bit too hasty. going back towards an area where she had a kill. And now nothing. Try a bit further down. It's frustrating at times, getting so close and yet so far. Nothing in the mud. Turn down here, but they're heading down this way. Every now and then go off the road and probably mark the territory. I haven't been able to smell any of her spray marking yet. Normally it's quite easy to smell in the mornings. She might have dropped down into that drainage line, that Mungo drainage line. No, still on the road. Done. Smell maybe the remains of a carcass. This is almost where she was yesterday, 2 days ago, with carcass somewhere in here. Bet we don't find it trenched down the bottom. Oh, she's gone back in there. Must have had a fairly big kill then. Starting to smell a bit. Yeah. What I thought. James. Morning, James. I'm going to stop there and just listen for a bit. James is just asking about birds and alarming. Whether they're going to alarm if a leopard is just walking through an area or if it's on the hunt. Just the sight of it gets animals going, James. So yeah, even just walking through an area, which is why stopping and listening sometimes helps. The last track I have of this leopard is here. Looks like she might have gone into this drainage line. Over here to the right. that other road that runs parallel to this one to the west is where there were drag marks a couple of days ago. Exactly the same tracks. Came down this road and walked into the bush here. Oh, shucks. You still got sound, Leon? You still got sound?
Yeah.
Okay. I just bumped the mic wire. Anything that sees a leopard will alarm, really. Not only the birds, but also there is the other thing that sometimes there is subtle clues too. The sound of, say, insects that suddenly cease to make a noise. Could be down there in the drainage line somewhere. Look around. Big triangle of road here. See if we can try and find a better idea of where she's gone. But it reaches this point now where our only hope is to maybe find her, or listen to her in the alarm call, maybe see her walking off the road, or find a killing tree, or something. This, I'm sure, within a 100-meter radius, this is where she ended up this morning. I'm pretty sure of that. Down here in this drainage line. Perfect depth of concrete. Hello Lisa, in Detroit. Michigan. Home of the Sugar Man. Lisa wants to know, how did I know that giraffe was old? I just looked at his head, Lisa. I looked at his horns, or ossicones as they're called, and they were so badly worn and chipped. And, well, not really chipped, but I mean, they're just worn and old. Giraffes, especially the big bulls, as they age, they develop these calcareous growths, calcium deposits that develop on their heads, on their forehead. Oh, look at those, if you just get those hornbills doing that dance. Nice. Maybe we need to be closer. This is a pair of yellow-billed hornbills, and their male starts and they build up. Regurgitating seed pips, fruit pips. There we go. Beautiful. That's a mating, kind of a mating display, but it's more a confirmation of their dedication to each other, really. They sing this duet. Something to do it here. Right here. Pity. That's the male that's left in the dead tree. It's the female that just came here. Pity, because it's better in the dead tree than it is in the zebra wood. Come this way, boy. going back to her mate. Now I'm going to try and go forward a little bit closer to them. It'd be nice if we could. She wants to take him somewhere. He doesn't want to follow her. Alright. Got to keep up with this leopard track. Okay. Maybe she came through here. Yes, she did. Still walking on the road. She's by Hornbills. Way behind this leopard. Honey badger tracks. Still walking on the road. I mean, after driving so long so far on these leopard tracks, it gets a little frustrating because if I'd come that way around, I probably would have bumped into it. Sides of a very huge rectangle, I suppose we could say. Now heading back to the river. So she walked north for a considerable distance, turned west, and now she turned south again. More or less taking the whole territory into account here. Try at the top of the rise. Must be anti-poaching. Looks like anti-poaching guys. Yeah. Ow! They're looking at something, those two anti-poaching guys. Oh, they're walking again. Rid of this, killing my arm trying to steal with this jacket. Still on the road. Still heading south. Not great that we've got few humans coming this way, but it flows. And last night, yesterday afternoon, way down there where they were walking, I found dung and the tracks of the young male, one of the young males. I wanted to come back there. Very interesting birds, the yellow-billed hornbills. Their nesting habits are very interesting. They find a hole in a tree, an old woodpecker's hole or a cracked crevice. Joined with older tracks of the male, not joined, but where the male came out. Anyways, when she's ready to lay eggs, he seals her in this hole. He uses saliva and bark and mud. There's that. He seals her in the hole. Yeah, he leaves a little crack for his beak to fit in, and she molts all her feathers. When she lays her eggs, she lines the nest, so she becomes bald. And in the 6 weeks or so that it takes her to regrow feathers, it's the time that she incubates. And then, of course, shortly after they hatch, now there's Nyala here, and they shouldn't be calmly sitting deep in the bush there. They should be shouting. Leopard moved here a while ago. Of course, not helping that we have anti-poaching patrol moving up here. Anyways, I'm going to try and finish the story quickly. Then she eventually breaks out and they leave the chicks in the nest, but the chicks seal it up again. And then, slowly but surely, as the parents feed them and they grow, they mature at slightly different rates because the parents can't exactly see who's taking the food when they put their beak in. There's always one stronger chick. And eventually the chicks mature, and then another 6 weeks later they start breaking out of the nest. I need to talk to them. Action! Fine, and you? Good. Have you guys found anything this morning? Seen any Konzo? There's just some Konzo things coming all the way down this side. You didn't see anything that side? Yeah. Yeah, there's the Madodas for last night. But there's a smaller one for them. Yeah. There's also somewhere here there's no chicken for Madonna from yesterday. But this other one is quite fresh. Yeah. Nothing for in Globe. Not even spoor. Okay. Did you come from Ilkley side? Okay. Have a good day, guys. Well, my tracking comes to north, I guess. Excuse me. Piece of wood with 2 ears. Pieces of wood have a sense of humor. Her tracks are still here, but she must have been here long over then. They look fresh. Yeah, there's a lot of tracks. They've been all over the place here. I bet that they've been earlier. I think they were within 100 meters of that last. They've been all over the road during the night. Down there. Back to the road. On. I don't think anything more up here other than older tracks, very old. And at the back there, just off of that drainage line, some good tracks. Abshid, morning Dad, morning all. Fine and you? Good. Yeah, I've been following that Mafazi all from our Bidapan up to Naleti, all the way from Naleti to Central, coming all the way down.
Oh, okay.
Just at the Jackalberries.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because there's all tracks for those Madunas here, the youngsters. I don't know if you want to jig in there a little bit.
Thanks, I'll look at it on and see. So check your pocket or that.
Okay.
Thanks.
The last tracks of her just come through the school, I mean.
Okay.
That are the fresh ones. And then there's older tracks, and the males have been playing in the road during the night. Okay, let me know.
Okay.
Okay, bye. 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 Oh. This is Thomas. I just want to see what Thomas is doing. Looking, but he's already driven over the fresher tracks of the female. And he doesn't seem to be... he doesn't seem to be following up on it. Okay, well, I'm just going to have a look further up. Oh. No questions today. Last night was fun. Quite active. I wonder what's... Thanks, Brian. There aren't even old track cats up here, so they're definitely down there somewhere. And Thomas hasn't even gone to look. I'm going to go back down there and have a look around that drainage line. Although, Brian, did we have a signal down there at the bottom? Did we lose signal when we were at the bottom of that dip? Yesterday tracks of a male going down. Nothing here of Thomas didn't come from up here, he came from there. And there are lions to the west, but we won't have signal there. And she didn't come up here, so I think we finally found where she ended up. Go back down to the bottom to that dry riverbed. Those big jackalberries, they might even be too far off the road. Copy that, I've got the radio on. Typical, we're on unlock. Found the leopards, not another signal. Is that it? Let's be doing this document soon. Cats are in here somewhere. station. Station at Ngala lock. What's that lock, please? Okay, sorry, I'm breaking up. Try that again, please. Okay, thank you. Okay, you're back again. Just going to turn around again. Okay, well, basically what I've done is I've finally managed to track this leopard to this little dry riverbed down here with these big jackalberry trees, and they're in there somewhere. But I'm just having a look. I just want to find Matumi and what did he say? Water bucket. There's the else cut line. And this truck with this big gap in the neck is this way, the tuning Hello Deborah, wanting to know why some trees have silver colored leaves. Actually it's the hairs on the leaves that are silver, Deborah, not necessarily. The leaves are green, they still produce chlorophyll. It's just silvery hairs, it's a defense mechanism. I couldn't tell you why, I'm afraid. Normally to understand why, one just has to sort of make deductions, make observations. But I've never really thought about asking why, really. Okay, I don't know where Natumi and Waterbuck Junction is. I could probably follow Thomas's track. But it's not, we'll lose signal. It's no good. That's the reason why I don't know those roads, because we don't go there. Something that might indicate whether these leopard are close by or not. Well, we'll come back past them later. Not much I can do, really. Can't see them from the road, there's nothing I can do. That's where their tracks end up. Going to do a loop around up here somewhere. Find something else. Dave? Dave Hill. Nice to hear from you, Dave. Should I say Jumbo Buana? Dave wants to know the fastest snake in the world would probably be... Isn't there a snake called a racer? The mamba is a pretty fast snake. Black mamba. I don't know, Dave, you tell me. Fastest snake. I don't know how they measure it. I mean, I've seen some grass snakes and sand snakes look pretty fast. Somewhere in the recesses of my memory there's a snake called a racer or something like that. Snake trip. Fast snake. Okay, we're going to head up this road. I know at some point we're going to lose signal maybe. We're going to see what tracks we can find. Heading up here. Bonnie wants to know, also, speed question. How fast do I drive the jigger? I very seldom get it out of second gear. And I very seldom, like now, even touch the accelerator. Put it in second gear and just idling of the engine takes it fast enough. This morning I was doing a little bit faster than I was still in second gear, didn't quite get to third because I was trying to I was trying to catch up with the leopard that was walking on the road that had walked very, very far. Didn't give me much chance to catch her. Well, we missed her. Obviously wasn't fast enough. But we were a couple of hours behind it. But with these roads you can't drive fast. Sometimes I have to ride with my foot on the clutch and the other foot on the brake because the engine is taking it too fast. I've got to go even slower than just idling. That's why it stalls sometimes, because I'm choking it. The fuel injection of this engine makes the engine want to rev quite high. And when I've got it in first gear, I've got to climb over some of these erosion sections and road patches. I've got to actually retard the vehicle like now. It's hard to keep it really slow enough that it's not going to fall apart by bouncing over really rough sections. Very, very seldom do I manage to get it into third gear. New Mexico. Hello Jody in New Mexico. What animals eat marula fruits and does it make them drunk? Oh, everything eats marula fruits. Everything from ants to elephants. And none of the predators. All the primates. impala, kudu, nyala, the fat primates, baboons and monkeys, elephants, humans. And no, it doesn't make anything drunk. That is a myth. It was a myth that was boosted by a movie from the 1970s where although he was a good filmmaker, his ethics came into question. Marula fruit is quite high in sugar and does ferment on the ground, but any animals, there's a very little bit of flesh around the stone of the marula fruit, so an animal would have to eat a lot of marula fruits to become inebriated. Gosh, there's a lot of this lobelia here. So no, it doesn't happen, Jody. However, locals do brew a marula beer. Buckets of the stuff in the summer months, around end of January. And sometimes they add sugar, but generally it's got to get the juice out of the marula fruit and let it ferment. It's quite lovely, actually. And then of course you get the marula liqueurs, and we have a local fruit juice producer that produces a juice called Marula Mania. It's a fresh fruit juice blend of fruits including marula. Liquid fruit it's called. Nothing but fruit in liquid fruit. They're advertising for that. What's the DBs here, Brian? Okay. So I'm going back around the back of this little ridge. Hello, Val, Pennsylvania. Wanting to know if we're allowed to drive off the road in the reserve. We are, Val. If I'm following an animal, I'm allowed to drive off road. But I can't justify driving off road if I think there's leopard. I know there's leopard, but I can't just go driving around looking for them unless So theoretically, what I should do, if I was a guide with guests, is I'd park the vehicle and I'd walk in to establish where the leopards are, and then not be able to take the vehicle in to see them. Young hyena clips. But for whatever reason, there are various reasons, bureaucratic perhaps, insurance and other things, that make it not viable for me to go walking in there and look for the leopards. Not that I'm not qualified to do so. I don't carry a rifle, and it would be, although I don't personally think I need a rifle, just legally it would require me to have a rifle to go walking in to a dangerous predator area, particularly a leopard with cubs. So it's not wise that I do for me to do that. If I was working here as a guide and I had guests, different story. And I'd have a rifle. I would find animals for the guests. That's why I was hoping that Thomas was going to And we're not live. We're back at it. We are back again. There's a young bull. Come on. Can't you just stop for us for a minute? Relax. Okay. We're not live, huh? I wanted to get around this bend. We are live. Okay, yeah, we're going to possibly be in and out. We are starting. As I go around this bridge. A starling, a little bit prettier than the European starling. All of our African starlings are quite pretty. Glossy starling. Now, I think that is probably a lesser blue-eared glossy. Where's Dave's book? There's a whole bunch of them there. Or they're Cape glossies. Probably Cape glossies. Yeah, it works still. That's what we could try. Signal wise. Relax, geese. I mean you no harm. Complaining bitterly. Well, not bitterly, but sort of complaining. TV is good here, Brian. Signal strength. Hornbill. It's a funny noise behind us. Okay, let's move along. No terrapins out of the water today. Get that canary up there. Oh, sorry, we're on geese. Sorry. Used to be the yellow-eyed canary. Had a yellow-throated longtail behind us shouting. I don't think I will get that. So it used to be the yellow-eyed canary. I'm not sure what its new name is. I'm checking in Dave's book. The birds have changed names. For those of us older folk that know them names from the past, like learning everything all over again. Now called a yellow-fronted canary. Hornbill's digging in that dung for the termites and stuff. Long claw is gone. Separate wildebeest going the other way. They're not doing much, they're just hanging around. Yeah. Tail swing. If these hornbills are scratching through. Nice birds here, yeah, well, sort of. Probably be a good, yeah, canary still sitting in its tree. Big buffalo thorn. Sorry, geese. Right for the hornbill. Too far away. Yeah. Termites, grubs, could be larvae of some of the smaller scarabs. Could be seed, things like raisin bush seed. So many things pass through an elephant's digestive system without even changing shape or being acted on by digestive juices and things. So things like guarri seed and raisin bush seed will come out of the dung quite the same as many people. Also a bunch of terrapins swimming around here. We just see their heads popping out, quite a few of them. A lot of things scratch through elephant dung. Yeah, gonna definitely fix that after drive. Check the seed. Oops, sorry, hope that helps. It's always when you're on a damn wall like this, the wind coming from the side. Yeah, hits them off. Okay, shall we trundle on? Impala up there. Oh, it could be a good dam to come to in the afternoon, maybe. Impala, wildebeest. Sorry, birds. The day is warming up nicely now. We have another one of those lovely sunny, wintry Sundays. But sunny, in fact, probably temperatures that some countries have for summer, we have for winter during the day. And have up to, sometimes even up to 25-degree change. Only Ingweb Kwanzaa. No, I didn't have Ingweb. Yes. Listening to the radio. What was I saying? I forget. A really smooth road, especially because it's just been smooth. It's third gear, it's still just idle along. It's so slow, speedometer doesn't even register. About 10 kilometers an hour. I was talking about temperatures, the difference. That we could have even up to a 25-degree difference between our minimum and maximum in a 24-hour period between between say early morning cold and there's a raptor. Please stay there, bird. Gosh. Flew away. Looked like it was a 25 degrees Celsius. It's got to be about 70, high 70s. So basically we can go from say about 45 degrees Fahrenheit, 50 degrees Fahrenheit to 85 degrees. $90 even. Day. Start off the layer, lots of layers on, and even now I've still got 3 layers. I've got to take at least 2 of them off. Just have to wait. Face in front of the camera, the family channel. semi-fresh. Blow over it yesterday. Surprisingly, not many eagles. I've seen one bats up in here. I don't think it's any different to anywhere else. Eagles I see at home be some of the same eagles that fly over us too. Good signal there. And the eagles. Three band. Probably fine. again. Doesn't sound like they're that much of a Sunday. Only heavy Saturday night. Another one of these. Really difficult. Oh. And the baboons all over the place. Still this, and I had leopard tracks. we go home, just in case we can feed them. But we still got signal down there. I don't know, do we have any viewers at the moment? Got his face this morning. Take a look. I'd like to take a little drive in there, but I'm nothing I can do about it. The tracks on directions leading to this particular spot. I got some old, some sort of a damn wall. We can try later. We can maybe come back in the evening. Going to walk on evening. We are going to probably so don't do that flower stuff on me to the side. Yes. Can get us that stuff. We're looking at the flower. I'm just going to get out and pick up a piece of trash. On.
I'm on the shadows, it's quite nice.
Shadow. Where's the flower?
Not so bright. And I've got your shadow.
What? For the flower? I'll take this off afterwards. Pretty flower. This here, the Mulva family, or the Mallow family. flower before I could lock it. Could have done it when I was out of the vehicle. Ordinarily, in the summer months, ordinarily there'd be a blister beetle on a flower like that in the summer months. Blister beetle. In particular, the petals of the malva flowers of the should be able to find it. They don't have flowers. Actually, that is a wild plant. Looking at the leaf, that's the plant, but hibiscus type flower. James wanting to know why I don't wear shoes. Signal. And that is a signal. Go barefoot. Because I love what it gives me, and I wouldn't, and I'm connected with it with shoes on, feeling the ground and putting my footprint on their footprint, the same piece of sand. Or a lion or anything. So for me, there's something vital to my being barefoot about feel, about different here. There's some tracks heading, popping in and out, but it is time. They're probably, if they are, what those are fairly across our tire tracks. So I know where that could be. Unless it's the same two that again have gone back to the river. But later, right in bed, going to work Sunday. Long ago. And we talk Central Africa. From me, Mark, camera, Brian.